9 signs your soul is rising above mediocrity, but no one told you. Weininger explained, "You've been told your whole life that mediocrity is normal, that blending in is safe, that being average is enough." Otto Weininger would call that spiritual suicide. This forgotten genius discovered something terrifying. Most people aren't just living below their potential. They're actively running from their soul's highest calling. And the signs that you're different, that you're rising above the masses, they're so subtle that society has trained you to ignore them completely. The genius who saw what others couldn't. Otto Weininger wasn't your typical philosopher. At 23, this Austrian prodigy had already penetrated deeper into human nature than most scholars do in a lifetime. He saw something that made him both brilliant and tormented. The vast majority of humanity lives in what he called spiritual sleep, a comfortable unconsciousness where they follow scripts, chase shallow pleasures, and never question the fundamental emptiness of their existence. But Weininger discovered something else. He found that some souls, rare ones, begin to wake up. They start to feel a deep discomfort with the ordinary world. They sense there's something more, something higher calling them. And when this awakening begins, it doesn't feel like enlightenment. It feels like agony. Why? Because your soul rising above mediocrity means you're no longer satisfied with what satisfies everyone else. You're no longer content with the comfortable lies that keep most people asleep. And that realization? It isolates you from almost everyone around you. Sign 1. Deep conversations drain others but fuel. You've noticed it, haven't you? When you try to talk about something meaningful, philosophy, purpose, the deeper questions of existence, people's eyes glaze over. They get uncomfortable. They change the subject to sports, gossip, or whatever Netflix show everyone's watching. Weininger understood this perfectly. He realized that most people are terrified of depth because depth requires them to confront the shallowness of their own lives. When you naturally gravitate toward profound conversations, when you're energized by exploring big ideas while others are drained by them, you're displaying a fundamental difference in consciousness. Your soul is seeking substance while theirs are content with surface. This isn't arrogance, it's recognition. You're operating on a different frequency and most people can't match that wavelength. Sign 2. You feel physically sick around fake people. This one hits hard. You walk into certain social situations, office parties, superficial gatherings, places where everyone's wearing masks and playing roles, and you feel nauseous, literally sick to your stomach. Weininger called this spiritual sensitivity. When your soul is rising, you develop an almost allergic reaction to inauthenticity. The fake smiles, the empty small talk, the performative happiness, it all feels like poison to someone whose consciousness is becoming more refined. Others think you're antisocial. You know you're just becoming allergic to bullshit. Sign 3. Success without meaning feels like failure. Here's where it gets confusing. You might be achieving what society calls success. Good job, nice things, social recognition. But instead of satisfaction, you feel emptiness, sometimes even disgust. Weininger observed that awakening souls begin to see through society's reward systems. They realize that external achievements without internal meaning are just elaborate distractions. When your soul is rising, conventional success starts to feel like a trap, not a triumph. This confuses everyone around you. You have everything, they say. Why aren't you happy? They can't understand that having everything society values can feel like having nothing when your soul craves something deeper. Sign 4. You're becoming brutally honest, and it's isolating you. You've stopped pretending. You've stopped saying things you don't mean, agreeing with opinions you don't share, or laughing at jokes that aren't funny. This honesty is automatic now. You literally can't fake it anymore. Weininger saw this as a crucial sign of spiritual elevation. When consciousness rises, the capacity for self-deception decreases. You become unable to lie to yourself, which makes it nearly impossible to lie to others. The problem? Most social interaction depends on a certain level of pleasant dishonesty. When you stop participating in these social lies, people start seeing you as difficult, intense, or too serious. You're not becoming difficult. You're becoming real. and reality makes most people uncomfortable. Sign 5. Solitude feels more nourishing than most company. You used to fear being alone. Now you prefer it to being around people who drain your energy. Solitude has become sacred, a space where you can think clearly, feel deeply, and connect with something beyond the superficial world. Weininger spent much of his short life in solitude, recognizing that rising souls need space away from the collective unconsciousness of the masses. In solitude, you're not performing. You're not adapting to others' energy. You're purely yourself. This isn't antisocial behavior. It's spiritual self-preservation. You're protecting the delicate process of your soul's evolution from the numbing influence of unconscious crowds. Sign 6. You see patterns others miss. Your perception has shifted. You notice things, behavioral patterns, social dynamics, cultural contradictions that seem invisible to everyone else. You see the gap between what people say and what they do. You recognize cycles and connections that others miss completely. Weininger had this ability in spades. He could see through social facades and cultural programming with startling clarity. When your soul rises, your vision becomes sharper. You develop what he called psychological X-ray vision, the ability to see beneath surfaces. The downside? You can't unsee what you've seen, and pointing out these patterns to others often makes them uncomfortable or defensive. Sign 7. You're drawn to difficulty, not comfort. While everyone else is seeking easier, faster, more convenient, you find yourself attracted to challenges that develop character. You choose the harder path not because you're masochistic, but because you instinctively know that growth requires resistance. Weininger believed that rising souls are naturally drawn to what strengthens them spiritually, even if it's uncomfortable physically or emotionally. You might find yourself choosing difficult books over easy entertainment, challenging workouts over comfortable routines, or deep introspection over mindless distraction. Others think you're making life unnecessarily hard. You know you're making life meaningfully difficult. Sign 8. You feel responsible for your own character development. This is huge. You've stopped blaming external circumstances for your internal state. You've realized that regardless of what happens to you, your response is your responsibility. And more than that, you've become fascinated by the process of becoming a better person. Weininger saw this as perhaps the clearest sign of spiritual awakening. When souls rise above mediocrity, they stop being victims of their circumstances and become architects of their character. You're not just living life, you're consciously sculpting yourself. This level of personal responsibility is rare and often misunderstood. People are used to external blame and victimhood narratives. When you take full ownership of your development, it challenges their worldview. Sign 9. You feel both deeply connected and profoundly alone. Here's the paradox Weininger understood better than anyone. As your soul rises, you feel more connected to life, truth, and meaning than ever before. But you also feel more alone in a world of people who seem content with superficiality. You might feel deeply moved by a sunset, a piece of music, or a philosophical insight while the people around you are scrolling their phones. You're experiencing life at a different intensity, which creates both profound connection and profound isolation. This isn't depression. It's the natural result of consciousness evolution. You're operating at a frequency that few others share. The price of rising. Weininger discovered that soul evolution isn't comfortable. It's not a smooth, pleasant journey toward enlightenment. It's often painful, isolating, and misunderstood. Society isn't designed to support people who are transcending its basic programming. When your soul rises above mediocrity, you lose certain comforts. The comfort of ignorance, the comfort of belonging to unconscious groups, the comfort of simple answers to complex questions. In exchange, you gain something far more valuable: authenticity, depth, and genuine meaning. But here's what Weininger knew that most people miss. This discomfort is proof that you're on the right path. The pain of growth is different from the pain of stagnation. One leads somewhere, the other just repeats. The responsibility of rising. If you recognize these signs in yourself, Weininger would tell you that you have a responsibility, not to others, but to your own potential. You can't go back to comfortable unconsciousness once you've tasted authentic awareness. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant or superior. It means accepting the responsibility that comes with expanded consciousness. You're called to live at a higher standard, to seek truth over comfort, to choose growth over stagnation. Some people will understand, most won't. And that's not your problem to solve. Your job is to honor the evolution happening within you, even when, especially when, the world around you doesn't understand it. Weininger saw something that most philosophers miss. Rising above mediocrity isn't about achieving more, it's about becoming more. It's not about external success, it's about internal authenticity. And the signs aren't always pleasant or socially acceptable. If you've recognized yourself in these signs, you're part of a rare group. Your soul is actively evolving, and that evolution comes with both privileges and responsibilities. The privilege of seeing clearly, the responsibility of living authentically. Don't apologize for your depth. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't pretend to be satisfied with what no longer satisfies your soul. You're not becoming antisocial. You're becoming real. And reality, as Weininger knew, is both the most difficult and most rewarding path you can choose. Your soul is rising. The question isn't whether that's happening. The question is whether you'll honor it or fight it. Choose wisely. Now that you understand the signs of spiritual awakening, you're probably wondering what comes next. How do you navigate this evolution without losing yourself in isolation? This video right here reveals Weininger's blueprint for the next stage of development.